Yay! Who's ready for another exciting yap session where you fucking piggies will eat my slop? I've been putting this off for a week, so forgive my attitude. But I mean, you read the title, you watched my fucking update video from over a month ago. You know what I'm talking about. This is the Sonic Heroes Yap session. One thing I want to address before I even begin talking about the game. One thing I'm going to be bringing up a lot is Iizuka's health during the development of Sonic Heroes. You see, during development of Sonic Heroes, there were initially going to be two level designers, Takashi Iizuka and Eitaro Toyota. Unfortunately, Toyota got very sick during the early stages and couldn't work. So it led to Iizuka having to crunch his ass off during development. And apparently at the end of it, he lost 22 pounds because he barely had any time to eat or even just take a breather. So the next time that you hear some Sonic fan on X, the Everything app, blaze your glory, bitch about how Iizuka doesn't care about Sonic, I think you should bring this up because it's pretty telling. So in my notes, I'm just I have it layered as talking about the teams first, then the stages, then the boss fights, and then my wrapped up thoughts. So to begin with, Team Sonic, they're pretty standard difficulty across all levels. I'd say they probably have some of the best level design in the game, and they probably are my most played through campaign. Team Rose, they're the easy difficulty. It's very easy for anybody to jump into, purely because of the fact that the levels are shortened. There's not as many enemies, there's not as many hazards and everything. Despite that, this is probably my second most played through campaign, purely just because I like playing as Amy, Cream, and Big. Then we have Team Dark, which is obviously supposed to be the hard difficulty. Their levels are super long and slightly more difficult than Team Sonic, at least for the most part. Some are just significantly more difficult and kind of more of a pain in the ass to get through. Kind of like Team Rose, they tweaked the layout of the levels, except they added more spikes, more obstacles, more enemies, and they also, as I said earlier, they extended the length of the level. Then finally, we have Team Chaotix. I'm just going to consider this the annoying difficulty. I think they have some of the worst levels in the game. In each level, you have to do some arbitrary task. I almost never go back to them for repeat playthroughs, just because I find their gameplay to just be really annoying and not all that fun. The thing that annoys me the most is not being able to bring up the level's task. Committing it to memory is just very annoying. So onto the stages. Stage 1, Seaside Hill. I think it's a good introductory level. It gets you used to the game and its mechanics. It's also super memorable. Whenever I think of Sonic Heroes, this level is one of the first thing that comes to mind, and overall it just leaves a really good first impression on the player. Stage 2, Ocean Palace. If you want me to talk more about this level, just watch my YouTube short. This is probably my favorite level in the game. Everything is just perfect. It's amazing. Then Stage 3, we have Grand Metropolis. It keeps up the momentum of the previous stages, while also ramping up the difficulty enough to where it's still kind of engaging. And yeah, it's just a fun level, not much else to say here. Then we have Stage 4, Power Plant. I really like this level, but I kind of feel like it overstays its welcome. On average, it takes me 6 to 8 minutes to complete this level, which is too much for any Sonic game if you ask me. But other than that, I really like how it builds off of the previous level and tunes up the difficulty a little bit more, just like the previous one. And then it ends up with this chase scene where you have to get away from the rising lava while switching between all three of the characters. It's flawed, but I still really like it. Then we have Casino Park, Stage 5. This level kinda falters, but I still enjoy it. The pinball controls are complete ass, but when you figure it out, it becomes more manageable. The music and aesthetics really sell you on the atmosphere of this level. It feels like this big fuck-off casino, with all people pawning off their life savings and doing cocaine in the bathroom and shit. So it's a mixed bag, but overall, an okay level. Then we have Stage 6, Bingo Highway. This is probably my second least favorite level in the entire game. It just goes on forever, especially if you suck at the game. And there are so many beginner's traps in this level that just make it enough for this one to kill off any new playthrough for me. It's just not fun and it's a huge slog to go through. Then we have Rail Canyon Stage 7. I don't really like this level that much, and it's a shame because it has such a good concept. But the execution of that concept leaves a lot to be desired. Rail switching, even when you nail down how it works, is always a crapshoot. I feel bad for Izuka, but even still, this stage needed some serious testing and tweaking, because it just doesn't work. The only thing that redeems this level for me is the music. Now on to Stage 8, Bullet Station. This is my least favorite level in the entire game. It just goes on and on and on. It overstays its welcome and gets old so fast. It also has the issues from Rail Cannon times 10, because now there are more rails and more paths to go through. Once again, only thing that I really like about this level is the music. Frog Forest, Stage 9. On the inverse, this is probably my second favorite level in the entire game. The whole thing with the change in the weather of the level and how it affects the environment is used to its full potential, and it kind of like creates a lot of opportunities for the player and the paths that they choose to take. The atmosphere and vibes alone are also just, they're there, you know, they can get it. Super underrated if you ask me. I think this should have been the level they chose for Sonic Generations, but hey, that's just me. Then we have Stage 10, Lost Jungle. This is probably my third favorite level in the entire game. It builds off of the foundation set by Frog Forest, and does all it needs to. Also has some stellar vibes. Stage 11 and Stage 12, Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion. I'm gonna lump these in together because I really don't have a whole lot to say about them. Besides, like, you know, once again, I think the aesthetics, the music, the vibes, they're there. But the level design kind of just makes these two levels a little bit forgettable. Like, don't get me wrong, these levels are much better than Rail Canyon and Bullet Station, but I just don't really think about them a whole lot. Then we have Egg Fleet and Final Fortress, Stages 13 and 14, Final 2. I'm also going to lump these two in together, since my thoughts don't really change between the two. I think they're fine. I think they do what they need to. Just a little too much, and they tend to overstay their welcome pretty heavily, especially Final Fortress. The only thing going for these levels is the vibes, once again. The music gets your blood pumping, the dialogue gets you motivated. You know you're on the final stretch and that it's too late to change your mind. So yeah, overall I think there are a lot of stages that I don't like, but there are also a lot of stages that I like. But, I mean, at the end of the day, even though it is a huge mixed bag, I still overall have a pretty enjoyable time here. Now we're moving on to the boss fights. There are two types of boss fights throughout the game. There's one where you go up to a boss and you have to attack it in time. And then there's another one where it's just an enemy gauntlet. So in my notes, I made a big typo, and I forgot to mention the team battles. There are team battles where you, where one team fights against another. Yeah. They're just okay. I don't really have much to say about them. I think that for the most part they work, especially that first one, but it's obvious that these were just a result of a huge time crunch. And then I guess I'll talk about the final boss, Metal Overlord. I think this may be one of the best final bosses in any 3D Sonic game. The first phase is pretty cool, where you have all the teams in order of difficulty helping out. Then you have that second phase where the best Sonic song ever, What I'm Made Of, is playing. And then you just kind of like fuck Metal's shit up. My major complaint here is that the Team Blast kind of interrupts the music. What the hell? You're kind of just fucking up the vibe. You didn't need to stop the music just to create impact. The atmosphere that was set up before already did all the work, and you're kind of just ruining it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Metal Overlord. So, like, in terms of my wrapped up thoughts, while flawed and clearly rushed, I think this is probably my second favorite Sonic game. My first being Sonic Adventure. The highs of this game are super high, and I think it makes up for a lot of the low lows of this game. I will say I do wish this game got more time to cook, because if it did, then it probably would have had a more positive reception from fans and critics. Also, Iizuka wouldn't have had to nearly kill himself developing the game. There have always been looming rumors about a Sonic Heroes remake, and if one ever does come into fruition, I hope that A, it gets more time to cook, and B, they improve the level design. This could either be a Pac-Man World Repack situation, or it could be a Majora's Mask 3D situation. But yeah, that was a Sonic Heroes Yap session. I'm finished with this recording. I'm drinking some, Mountain Dew Kickstart with plenty of Red 40 in it. And, yeah, this is the end.
Yeah! Here we go! Yeah! There's no way I can break this! Here we go!